Welcome to this week's BitShares Dev Hangout. This recording is brought to you by the Beyond Bitcoin crew. We welcome all BitShares members to join us weekly and discuss the latest news, updates, and developments. If you'd like to participate in our next meeting, then please join us live on Mumble every Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Did you know the Beyond Bitcoin show now has a registered delegate? Please consider voting if you find our Hangouts and recordings useful. The delegate name to vote for is fuzzy.beyondbitcoin. Again, that's fuzzy.beyondbitcoin. The Beyond Bitcoin crew would like to send out a big thank you to everyone who's already voted and allowing us the opportunity to serve the BitShares ecosystem and our valued community members. So once again, welcome and please enjoy the show.
Today is Friday, February 6th, 2015. This is another Beyond Bitcoin BitShares Hangout with Bytemaster from the BitShares quote-unquote Super Deck. Today we're going to have an update from Bytemaster, and we're going to open up for questions from the community. And with that said, would you like to get started with the updates?
Sure. I would like to recap a little bit from last week. Last week we had a lot of discussion about potential for gambling, everything from dice to bingo. Subsequent discussion has resulted in the conclusion that that is an undesirable PR and could have negative consequences for people who want to integrate with BitShares if we supported that. So that looks like that's an opportunity for someone to create a separate blockchain. As of right now, it's not clear that the BitShares shareholders are interested in such a feature for BitShares. Now, this is just a forum poll with 100 plus people in the forum expressing their opinions. At some point in the future, we can, of course, have it actually put to a shareholder vote if it looks like there's competition in that space. But until then, we're going to play it conservative and keep gambling out of the system. That said, I am still actively looking for ways of making BitShares appeal to a wider audience. So for that, just ask how to keep gambling out of the system. Well, gambling on blockchain with support by delegates requires me to write code. And for us to release code and for delegates to upgrade to code, we keep it out of the system by not writing the code.
On blockchain gambling would be bad. Good choice, community.
So I think it's a good market. So there's an opportunity there for someone to create an alternative chain that share drops on BitShares and enables that. And that way we can have the best of both worlds. But that's probably not the best thing. Play is not even going to do that. So Play is relying on third parties, just like Satoshi Dice. I must say I'm slightly disappointed that they went that route because I wanted Play to be the one that actually did gambling on the blockchain. But maybe my understanding of Play is wrong. I haven't been following up there. So
Can I interrupt you there? Actually, I believe that the on-chain game that they have produced, in fact, was a dice rolling game.
Okay. So if it's on-chain and doesn't require any trust, then that's good. So, sort of what I was wanting to see out of the system. So all of that said, we're focusing on getting a release out. I asked the team to prepare a pre-release based upon the current DevShares code that would allow people to try out the latest feature, the latest UI, and report any issues they experience on the BitShares network for those who are more adventurous. And that will support a lot of new features in that pre-release. It will not support the new user-issued assets or relative orders. On the user-issued asset relative orders side, I'll deal with relative orders first. Our unit tests, which we've been really focusing on, show that the relative orders are functional, and our new short matching algorithm is functional. we fixed a lot of corner cases in the short matching. Whenever you have orders that are not exactly at the price feed, what happens in the current order matching is not quite what you'd expect. So expect the new market engine to come out shortly in dev shares so that we can actually start testing it. One of the things we're going to need to do is start publishing price feeds for dev shares. Any of you who currently have gateways for BitShares, I would appreciate a Bitcoin gateway that goes from BTC to IOU BTC to a user-issued asset on dev shares. That would be incredibly useful so that we can start establishing a price for dev shares. And then we can use that internal price to set the price feeds for bit assets on dev shares. So let's definitely try to get some price discovery on dev shares. The latest idea, and I think it's going to be huge, and I'm just throwing this out there for discussion, is the idea of using prediction markets on a blockchain. Prediction markets or information markets are not gambling. They are a way of ensuring. They are a way of producing a product information from the broader market. They have a bazillion useful outcomes. The only thing, they're just another form of an option or a hedge. So I think that prediction markets and information markets are where it's at. There are currently sites out there that are doing hundreds of millions or billions of dollars worth of volume trading in prediction markets where people can bet on everything from political elections to sporting events to the weather. And those markets are a prime candidate for a blockchain and a decentralized exchange because they all depend upon trust. They all have the same regulatory issues that centralized exchanges face. And it's a market that will allow us to appeal to the American Idol crowd. Anyone who wants to make money betting on the American Idol outcome can now do so on BitShares. That type of thing creates a much broader audience. So as far as the timetable for that, that would be post 1.0. We want to make sure that nothing delays 1.0. So you could conceive bid assets as gambling. Bid assets are nothing but a prediction market on the future value of the dollar relative to BitShares.
So how would, let's go through, if you can, just walk everybody who's not familiar with how these prediction markets would work beyond maybe the relative understanding of bit assets. How would something like this work for, I don't watch a whole lot of American Idol, so if anybody wants to name off an American Idol star, but let's just say American Idol star A, everybody wants to, can you give us a walkthrough of a use case?
I'll give you a common use case.
Sure.
You want to bet who's going to win the presidential election, of the Republicans or the Democrats. So you create an asset that is worth $1 if the Republicans win and nothing if they don't. This asset is created and it's got a panel of judges, a slate of judges that will publish the result whenever the result is known. People buy the asset and trade the asset. So anyone can create the asset by putting $1 in collateral, and then now they created one. When they sell it into the market, the price they sell it at is based upon their expected probability of the outcome. If it's 50-50 probability, they'll sell it at 0.5. If it's 90% certain that it's going to happen, they'll sell it for 90 cents. So as time goes on and market participants are trading, they will end up establishing the price. And basically, if you buy when the odds are against you and then it ends up happening, you can get 10 times your money back. If you sell at 90 cents and it doesn't happen, you made 90 cents and the other person gets nothing. If you sell at 90 cents and it does happen, then you just lost 10 cents. So that allows people to speculate on the outcome of events.
So a person who is very close to the elections and is behind the voting machines and actually sees what's going on in the code and knows that this time Jeb Bush is going to win, is going to be closer to that information and therefore has a much larger incentive to put down a lot of money on Jeb Bush winning. So it rewards the people who know the most about, who are closer to the information if they are close to that information, or the people who are thought leaders in whatever given space the question resides.
It allows everyone in the world to make money off of the information they know.
And MCAT is saying this would be an excellent opinion poll. Do you have any ideas about how this could be utilized in the BitShares ecosystem?
Well, it's not necessarily an opinion about what you believe. Personally, it's an opinion on what you think the market's going to believe and what the ultimate outcome will be. So it's good for getting more honest answers from people about what they expect. Right? If you say, well, you don't buy Bush because you want Bush to win, that would be stupid. You buy who you actually think is going to win, whether or not you want them to win. That's how you make money.
So just for MCAT, this is slightly different than a vote or something like that, or an opinion poll. We could actually do these opinion polls using the blockchain here in the future. But this is going to be more based on being able to make money off of it, which will force people to make a decision on what they believe is going to happen as opposed to what they would like to see happen.
Right. So you can't create one of these things unless there's an objective way to measure the result. So you couldn't ask the opinion, is gambling good for BitShares? Yes or no? How do you judge it at the end of the day? Can't. So if you created such an asset, it would float randomly. So it wouldn't necessarily tell you what you want. But you could make one that says, will BitShares implement gambling by some date? And people can speculate on whether or not we are going to actually do it, which is separate from what's actually going to happen. You could create a prediction market on will BitShares increase inflation rate or make some change. And then that would allow people to hedge against potential changes in what the delegates or developers do. And it would also allow the market to assess the probability of changes that would be devastating to confidence. So if you don't want any other mergers to occur, well, we can now have people speculate on the probability of that happening. And that would be a great way. If you're worried about it happening, well, you bet that it's going to happen. And if it does happen, you make a lot of money on your bet. If it doesn't happen, then your investment's secure. So there's all kinds of ways that you can use this for insurance and hedging and for assessing what the market believes the likelihood of potentially disruptive events. For example, we could have a prediction market on the probability of a black swan event. Will a black swan event occur in BitShares in 2015? And now people will know the market's assessment of the actual risk of black swan events.
Awesome. And the more people who, just like anything, the more people who are betting on this, the more likely you're going to have experts who really know the likelihood. And the closer we'll actually get to the real likelihood statistically.
Yeah, there's lots of applications there. The main thing is that it's a path to allowing the BitShares network to appeal to an even wider audience than just those who want to use it as a cryptocurrency. It's an actual application that's huge. People can use directly without us having to depend upon merchant adoption and all this other stuff.
Is this something that could be, like in scrolling text across the wallet when you first started up at some point in time in the future, instead of having something like the gambling feature, there might be something that current events or any number of things that might be of interest to the community or trending topics that we could actually utilize this for directly from the wallet when you started up?
There's all kinds of things there. I don't want to speculate on that. I was just mentioning that that's a discussion that's been going on this week. There's lots of debate about how to implement it and so on. But these are the type of things that become possible with BitShares. We've got a huge lead and a huge benefit because prediction markets require a stable currency. You're not going to bet on something happening in a year denominated in Bitcoin because you're exposed simultaneously to the Bitcoin volatility and the probability of the event occurring, which means that it's just not practical. So unless you have a pegged asset that the bet's being done in, it's a lot harder to make these things effective. As far as how to determine the outcome, whoever creates the bet will specify a panel of judges.
So I was surprised that you used US dollar IOUs as the collateral rather than something BitUSD. What's your thinking on there?
I didn't say IOUs. I said BitUSD.
Oh, okay. So when you said US dollar, you were talking BitUSD. Okay, thanks.
Arhag says, shouldn't there be a mechanism to encourage the judges to pick the same outcome as the other judges, or else they will lose something of value to those who picked a consensus outcome, like Shelling Coin, or even better, Truth Coin?
I think that the market incentives for honest outcome for repeat business. As soon as the judge lies once, they're out of business. So that's all you need. If they lie, they're not used anymore.
Is this something that would be difficult to? I mean, politicians lie every day and they get caught, but due to spin machines in the media, it kind of enables.
These are very objective things. And if you're betting money on it, no one's going to bet in a market where they've got a judge that's known to be corrupt.
Fair enough. Does anybody else have any questions regarding this topic before we move on? HPMV asks, could the judge also be some type of feed? So the judge would actually, him or herself, represent a feed for data?
In theory, once we add scripting, the judge can be a script.
Is there anything else update-wise that you'd like to provide the community before we open it up?
Go ahead and open it up to questions.
Have you considered using like an ad-based kind of revenue model where, I've got Skype open right now and I'm looking at an ad for Giant where it may engage other businesses and encourage them, to leverage the platform. We just display an ad at the top. It should bring in new users maybe from the outside just simply because we're making partnerships with other businesses, and it also leverages the power of the community without doing anything gambling related.
Yeah, I was thinking about putting ads in the wallet paid for on the blockchain. When you start putting things in the wallet, it ceases to be an objective thing. So I like to keep the wallet as objective as possible. I guess what you're saying is you want our partners to say, hey, if you partner with us and you do this, then you would get mentioned in our wallet. And that's sort of something. That's how we can pay people to integrate with us, is by mentioning them with our wallet. Is that what you're suggesting?
Exactly. It helps forge relationships and it helps promote brand awareness.
Right. So one of the things, whether we put it in the wallet or put it on bitshares.org, do you think there's much difference in the two?
I see why I would suggest not putting it on bitshares.org. But maybe what about, like, say, the lightweight client?
The lightweight client has its own model. I'm trying to encourage delegates to have a business model. And so the lightweight developers have their own monetization strategies for their wallet. So I don't want to dictate anything there. So I'll show you the latest page, which I hope to get linked to the main button on BitShares. Let me post the link in the thing. Bitshares.org, deposit, withdraw. I'd like to really start promoting our partners and our bridges and gateways. I think that if we have a standardized API that all these gateways can use, the wallet can then integrate as many of these as possible, as long as they use a standardized API.
I mean, I like that. I don't know how everybody else feels about it.
Well, this is kind of along those lines. HPMV is asking, what are your thoughts on adding Meta Exchange and Shapeshift in the official wallet and the lightweight client? The goal making it stupid simple for Bitcoiners to use bit assets to handle volatility from one location.
Yes, I like the idea of having things integrated and stupid simple. I want to make sure that these partners prove that they're providing decent liquidity. I would love to see us be an actual Bitcoin wallet as well, because that would help us make things stupid simple. Once we have a Bitcoin wallet that allows you to send Bitcoin to a BitShares account name, all right, then we'll have the easiest to use Bitcoin wallet, because you can just go, anyone who's on our system can send to an account name rather than to an address. So we're looking at ways to integrate it into the wallet. We only need a couple things to do that. One is some service provider that can give us the unspent outputs for a particular address, and an API that can construct a transaction from those unspent outputs that goes to a specified address and sends the change to another address. And then we need a way to broadcast a signed raw transaction. If we have those three functions, we could implement it in the wallet relatively easily. And we could use something like blockchain.info. But that requires a developer who's familiar with Bitcoin and those other things. So I want to make it happen. If there's someone who knows how to do that kind of stuff with Bitcoin and create custom transactions and sign those transactions with one of our private keys, I would definitely like to see the core stuff that's exposed to us in an easy to use manner. We can integrate it into the wallet. But I want to focus on making sure that our wallet is first and foremost an excellent BitShares wallet before we go and start adding Bitcoin to it.
I think you're misunderstanding the request or question. Like what he's talking about is putting the Shapeshift API in the wallet.
I know.
So you can
I understand he wants to do the Shapeshift API. I want to do both. So we're talking about both.
But I assume the Shapeshift API will be really simple because we don't actually need Bitcoin functionality to do that. We just need API.
Yes, if you want to convert and pay them a spread. If you actually want to use BitShares as your Bitcoin wallet to manage your own private keys, that's something else. So there's two things. One is integrating bridges directly into the wallet. The other is actually making the BitShares wallet a Bitcoin wallet. And then we can get listed on bitcoin.org among the other Bitcoin wallets.
But so what's the official stance on integrating bridges? And like I heard from Valentine that like he could basically do it in a week, he said. Like he could have it out as soon as the new GUI is out. So what are your thoughts on that?
My thoughts are that we should make sure we have a working, stable, quality BitShares wallet before we add more stuff like that to it.
This actually is a very good lead-in. I'm going to interrupt right now. Fadat is asking, what will it take to get to the 1.0 version of the wallet, and what is currently incomplete about the wallet?
One thing we need in the wallet is to upgrade how we do our private key management and bring wallet functionality. We've come up with a system for the Light wallet that is far more robust, allows you to recover it from a private key that you back up manually by writing down a dozen words or so, and that allows you to not have to scan and generate thousands of keys, searching and hoping that one of the keys is what you're looking for. So we've got a better key management strategy that we want to get implemented. And that's one of the big things there is standardizing our wallets across the web wallet, the Light wallet, and the current desktop wallet. The new user sign up and help feature, basically the wizard that gets you into the system, needs to be done. What we have works, it's functional, but it's not at the level of usability that we would like. As far as the CoinDesk article, they did not politely decline things. They're interested in more information. They didn't say that they wouldn't do it. It's Toast's opinion that it was that, but I disagree with him on how to interpret. I had many good conversations with them, and it's just one of those things where they have a lot of learning to do to understand our system. So it's not we don't want to integrate with you ever. It's we have to learn more about you and find time to study what you're doing and implement what your best solution. So it's really just a scheduling thing. We have a viable product. We add to what they're doing. It's not like they think that we have a non-viable, non-working product. They're very interested in what we can bring to cryptocurrency, and they want stable product. A lot of them are waiting for us to get the Gateway Advanced User Issued Asset feature implemented. Some of it's waiting on us, some of it's on their end, but I would not say that they declined. It's just not yet.
I can tell you from my experience with Twitter that Bitstamp was one of the first people to start retweeting my posts about BitShares. So I don't know what that really, if that gives any information, but whoever is running that for Bitstamp seems to have had their eyes on BitShares and BitUSD and the Bit assets for quite some time.
I don't know about you guys, but when I watch the Bit asset markets, the BitUSD market looks extremely healthy, considering that we don't have a lot of active market makers. It's got a nice V-shaped order book, and anyone who starts to sell below the price feed, it gets eaten up quickly. I think it's very healthy. An observation about the difference between BitShares and new bits. The BitUSD volume is relatively low, but higher than the new share volume. And the BitShares volume is much, much higher. It is very high. I guess it's not necessarily higher than new bits volume. It's very important that the backing, the BitShares, have high liquidity and high volume, more so than the actual bit asset themselves or the peg asset having high volume. I think that's a interesting thing there.
How many robots? Do you have any visibility of how many robot trading systems are trading bit assets?
I'm sure there's several out there. I'm pretty sure that some of the bridges are doing some kind of market making with robots, monitoring for good buying opportunities. One of the things that's really going to help with our bit assets is the steady buying pressure of the new mining pool, which I guess last I heard goes live this week. We start paying BitUSD. Once you start paying in BitUSD, then I'll start basically plussing up the payout at some rate. Probably start out at $10 a day, and which should be 50% more than the pool's currently making. And if that starts attracting miners, I'll increase the plus up as the volume grows up to a maximum of $50 a day to the pool. That will allow that way I'm not setting a fixed 5%. The market will establish, how much extra profit's necessary to drive the miners in to the system, and we'll let the free market compete to establish the price.
You were talking about bridges a few minutes ago. As far as the amount of development time needed to integrate the bridges into the wallets themselves, minus Shapeshift's bridge, more the Meta Exchange and Trade BTS bridges, because the spreads are much lower. How much time do you think it would take?
Valentine says a week, so I'd say 2 weeks. Everything always takes longer than the developer thinks it's going to take. That's the nature of developers and estimates, and why we don't try to avoid giving deadlines of when things are. We just work as hard as we can, as long as we can, to get things out there. But the issue is, all right, how long would it take to implement if we weren't doing anything else but implementing it? Do you want to have escrow features enabled in the GUI? Do you want to have relative orders enabled in the GUI? How much of the advanced user-issued asset management do we want in the GUI? Do we want multi-sig enabled in the GUI? A lot of these features that we're adding are just barely making it into the blockchain level and then into the JSON RPC level. And we haven't even really started the GUI level of a lot of these features. So what do we delay? Do we get Shapeshift integrated more tightly? Or do we just mention that it exists and allow you to use the usable but slightly less friendly API while we get our core product fully fleshed out? I don't know how to prioritize that. Maybe it would be nice if we had some kind of way of predicting or assessing, getting a market assessment of the relative value of these different features, because I have no idea which is going to make a bigger impact. Right? Maybe the biggest impact thing we could be doing is getting the prediction market stuff going and bootstrapping that entire industry, that might be more important. Who knows? And that's the real challenge we face, is prioritizing, given a limited number of developer resources, which gives us the biggest bang for our buck. Because I think all of the ideas that we have are good ideas, all have benefits. And I just don't know how to weigh the benefits. Ideally, in my opinion, the core developer resources should be focused on back-end functionality, core blockchain level features and unit tests. Because once it's on the back end with a JSON RPC API, other people can develop things in parallel. If we don't have it in the blockchain, then no one else can develop a UI for it. But as soon as we support it at the blockchain level, other people can start building UIs for it, and we can start doing those things in parallel. If someone wants to do Shapeshift integration into our wallet, then I think that would be a good thing to have someone other than Valentin do, because Valentin's skills need to be applied to our core stuff, and we can do a pull request and merge in some of these features from community members. There's a huge opportunity for delegates to come in and add these features. Maybe SVK can add some of these features to the wallet. I just don't want to have everything go through the bottleneck of our core development team. That's what's really slowing us down right now. So, let's try to identify things that can be done in parallel versus things that need to be done sequentially.
What are your thoughts on approaching people who are already building projects that might integrate well with BitShares and asking them to, like certain projects like we're talking about here that you're saying that you don't want the core development team to have to deal with? It seems like you'd prefer the free market to just utilize the niche and the void and fill it. What if we went out and found these people and just offered them the opportunity to meet with the community and potentially get a delegate running and spun up to offer these services?
Well, our wallet can be customized by anyone who can do web development. So find a web developer who they can create an entirely custom wallet, and if it's good enough, we can bundle it and release it as an alternative UI. They can have simpler wallets, more complex wallets. There's money to be made by being a wallet provider because, like you said, you can basically advertise in wallet. You can even customize the wallet to always pay you a fee if someone's using your customized version of the wallet. You can do that until someone decides to clone it and take out the fee. But there's lots of things you can do to incentivize improvements in the wallet at all levels. Anyway, we're about to release a major update to the wallet that's got a lot of bug fixes, a much better UI, and is a lot faster. There are some things that we will not be able to improve upon until we have a light wallet. And I apologize to all of you out there who don't have a solid state drive. The BitShares access pattern to the database is not friendly to those with spinning disks. But for everyone else, is it just me, or the wallet seems to just work? Might not be the most friendly interface, or as friendly as we can do, but I haven't had any problems personally using it. It's fast and responsive. Is that
the wallet for me works fine on high-powered, high-memory machines. On some of the older machines, that only have a few gig of RAM and Core 2 processor, it can take days for it to finish indexing and doing what it has to do. But once it's done, it's stable and fast. But it appears to like grind to a halt while it's chewing away on stuff, and it looks crashed even though it's not.
All right, so it sounds like we could improve user experience somewhat by adding some system requirements for the wallet, for the full wallet, and warn them if their system doesn't have those requirements.
I think it may, if it be possible, maybe you're doing this in next release, but have it maybe sort of not use 100% system resources. Like when it's grinding away in the disk, there's got to be a way to have it do it so it doesn't Like on my 2007 MacBook, the mouse pointer even stops moving. It just hogs everything.
You're using a 8-year-old MacBook?
Yep. And so are probably a lot of other people.
Maybe a better question is, instead of maybe trying to tackle the resources that the full client's using, it may be better to focus on the lightweight, since that's probably what most people are going to be using anyways.
Yeah.
I think that most of the people's complaints about our wallets is really the resource usage of the wallet and not the actual functionality of the wallet, assuming you've got decent hardware. So I think that what we need to do, we're going to have a basic light wallet out hopefully today, but if not today, next week. Because it's all functional and working. It's just a matter of making sure that we get an update to the main wallet so that the transactions and memos and everything are clean. If we do that, then on the website we say, if you have these system requirements, you can run the full wallet with good results. If you don't have these things, you can run it, but don't blame us for slow performance. Yeah, I guess it's still our fault that it's slow, but at least you're expecting it to be slow and barely usable until it's fully synced.
Is there a way that, like, we have chain servers which help quite a bit with the initial sync? What seems to kill these older machines is the indexing and the chewing it has to do to the blockchain to get it usable. Would it be possible to have a chain server that's running a full node, allow it to download a fully indexed version of the blockchain so it doesn't have to do it locally?
That works. Well, one of the things that we do every time you download or upgrade the wallet, we re-index the entire thing because we change the data structures under the hood that's being managed by things. Even a small change to the backend requires us to replay all transactions. So that might work for the first time you download it, but you'd have to re-download it every single time. And it's about a gigabyte of data if you were to download that state. So that's not something that we can easily release on GitHub. It'd have to be a torrent or something. So I think that's a very fragile approach. I think it's far better to focus on Light Wallet. My expectation is that the Light Wallet will be able to place orders by the end of the month or on the blockchain. It won't have the charts and order books. You can go to BitShares blocks and look at those and then place your order in the Light Wallet. That's what I'm hoping there. The other thing that we should have hopefully soon is a web-based wallet that looks just like our desktop wallet but is hosted. And that should actually make things a lot easier. So that's probably a faster route for those with low resource machines. We just don't know how well that's going to scale server side at this point in time.
So will the web-based wallet have trading right out of the box, I mean?
What's that?
I mean, will we be able to trade on the web? If we have the web wallet that looks just like the full node, will it actually be able to trade just like a full node as well?
I need to check with James on that, but it should be able to. The full wallets, the web-hosted wallet is able to sign transactions. The only thing it needs to do is generate the transaction for those market orders.
Because I was thinking that the slower route we could go with this, but then again, I don't know. I've read somewhere that it would take a year before we get trading in a Light Wallet, so I panicked slightly with that and thought that the better way would be to get to do the bridge integration before then.
No, the Light Wallet trading is not going to be a year. That's going to be, you'll be able to submit your orders by the end of February, and hopefully by the end of March, you'll have the entire order book and charts in the Light Wallet. The web-hosted wallet is not the same security model as the Light Wallet because the source code is served to you. If the source code is compromised, it could, in theory, send your keys back to the server. You do maintain your private keys, and the server tries to avoid knowing your private key, but if the server is compromised, it can get your key. The Light Wallet, on the other hand, you download once. You're only vulnerable the first time you download it. If you download a trustworthy version, then you don't have to worry about your keys being compromised in a future session.
Who will run the first web wallet? Will that just be James Calfee or Jay Calfee?
Yeah, I hope he'd run it. we'll figure out something. He's coming here in 2 weeks, and hopefully at that time we'll get an integration and launch strategy put into place for that.
Rune is asking, is UNB working off of Jay Calfee's JavaScript?
Most likely, it'd be a ton of work to reverse engineer everything in JavaScript. James has been working on it for several months, trying to get all the stuff that we're doing in C++, all of our serialization, all of our transaction structures. I'd be very surprised if they were doing anything other than using his code.
Does that answer?
It would be pretty
question?
amazing, though. We'd have like 2 completely parallel projects doing the exact same thing.
I wouldn't say they're doing the same thing. James is focused almost entirely on JavaScript with the goal of using the GUI that Valentine's working on. So, but I'm all for having parallel, redundant implementations. It means that our ecosystem will be robust.
Actually, it's really amazing. Like, so the Light Wallet and the Full Node and the Web Wallet, they will all have the exact same UI, like literally down to the code on computers.
Not quite. The UI in the Light Wallet is done with Qt and QML, designed for phones ultimately. So it's going to have a different experience, but everything else should have the same UI.
So it looks like a phone on the computer also?
Right at the moment, yes.
Okay, that's pretty awesome still.
Do you have any other updates that you'd like to talk about?
No updates. I think I'm going to close it out. It's been an hour, and I wanted to keep it shorter than normal, so we went the normal length.
Before you do that, I wanted to ask you, there was one post about you being at Duke this week. Could you give us a little bit of an update on what happened there?
Yes, I was invited to give a guest lecture to a class on cryptocurrencies. The class was about 40 students of all different disciplines, everything from legal to business to programming. And the class is focused around encouraging groups of these students to form a venture in the cryptocurrency space by the end of the semester, basically figure out some kind of business or opportunity in the space. I introduced them to our entire way of thinking, reframed Bitcoin as a company, explained the problems with mining, explained the true nature of consensus being an irreversible public ledger that's broadcast, and then explained BitAssets, BitUSD, and the various things, various opportunities for them in the space. And I ended with suggesting that they take their ideas and come to our forums and seek funding.
Did you charge a BitUSD admission fee?
No, this was travel expense reimbursement only.
Were there any projects that really stood out at the end of this course that you taught?
They didn't have time to share their projects with me. I gave them a bunch of ideas of things that we can't do. Since we can't do gambling, I suggest, hey, maybe you want to do gambling. And I suggested other opportunities in the space. So hopefully some of them will come to our forums. There were several people that were very actively engaged with questions. So I think it was a very productive and useful lecture. Students and the professor there seemed to get a lot out of it. So I'm glad I went. It was just a 3-hour drive for me. So just a day trip.
So this, just to clarify for everybody who's listening, after the fact, this is a course at Duke called Innovation and Crypto Ventures. It is taught by Professor Harvey R. Campbell. And it says here, I'm probably going to murder this. Fuqua School of Business. He's an investment strategy advisor of the Man Group PLC, which is, from a little bit of reading, the second largest hedge fund in the world, I guess, and a research associate for the National Bureau of Economic Research. did you have any conversations directly with this gentleman?
Yeah. He was there. He was asking questions. We had good conversation. I definitely think there's it was productive for both of us. So I really like the class, the goal, his vision, the fact that they're getting into very detailed stuff with Bitcoin, and he's really looking out for his students. I think that really productive there.
And do you think that it would be possible to approach him regarding possibly coming on here and speaking with the community at some point?
You're free to ask, but I would try to be respectful of people, not push ourselves too strongly.
Sure. Well, with that said, thank you very much for showing up today, Bytemaster. Thank you, everybody else, for showing up and asking your questions. And I guess that we can end it here for Bytemaster's Hangout for the week, and I look forward to seeing everybody else next Friday. Please stick around for the after party. We have 2 people here. Data Security Node has Bunker Shares, and Rune has a project, Crypto Hedge, that he would like to talk to the community about. And I'll just, I'm going to stop this recording, and we will begin the after party as a second part.